It was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Can't be
forward.
like a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have
Corrupt
sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
Hi, my name is Peter John. I am a social activist, photographer and a historian.
Hi, my name is Gavin. I'm a graphic designer by trade and a thinker by design.
Hi, my name is Lrma Titus. I'm from Bonteheuwel. I am a spoken word artist and freelance journalist.
I am Anika Brown. I'm 21 years old and I work as an admin clerk by the government, Western Cape government.
Hi, I'm Esther Zokwana, residing in Delft. I work as a museum assistant.
Hi, my name is Nosipho Phungula. I work as an EPWP at Heritage Western Cape. I live at Mfuleni.
When you talk about Madiba, everybody talks about the father of the nation. So, I mean, the nation that we're currently in. So, that's definitely one aspect that I think of. Yeah, if you're looking at a broader spectrum, father of democracy, you know, after apartheid. So, yeah, to sum it up, basically those two things without getting too complicated.
He was a man of integrity, a man who has a vision for South Africa, and that vision was to see everyone coming together, irregardless of color, background, heritage. He was a man with so much more to give, with love, and he wanted to install that in everyone.
He was a man who was against white and black oppression. He wanted to build peace in our country. He was the man who gave us a democracy.
I would say champion of the people, you know, because the message that he gave is basically for all. It wasn't a one-sided affair. So yeah, that's what I think, loosely, without getting too deep into it.
As a child growing up in the 90s, there was no one else that fitted this kind of idea of a hero, and that was my Tata Madiba. He stood for non-racialism, he loved children, and as a child growing up in the 90s, it was often easy to say Tata because everybody was Tata's child. But I feel like in present day, the relevance of the so-called Madiba legacy is questionable because of the lack of radicalness that is so much needed in our democracy today. I feel like Tata did his job, and it's actually sometimes frustrating talking about this legacy of this old man that is gone, that we can't leave to rest.
He was a well-respected man, and even though, to my personal opinion, I don't know why everyone makes such a big fuss about him, but I know he made a difference, and it's, yeah.
I think the Madiba magic narrative reached a point where it almost pacified the people. Mm-hmm. And which is sad, because in all its justification, the idea of Madiba magic and the legacy of Nelson Mandela, which was about integrity and about peace and reconciliation. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, somehow pacified the people to the point that that balance between being kind, nurturing, and caring, which was the legacy of Mandela, but also the need to be radical and not to stand back and watch things go by and watch corruption flourish.
I think with like what she touches on with the Madiba magic, I think people became pacified, thinking that things are just, now that we're into democracy, like things are just gonna work itself out. And which is like, magic is something that most people don't understand. So there's like a sprinkling of dust, this democracy dust, and we are all equal now. But it doesn't address a lot of the years of, years of injustices, and that's what we're currently dealing with. Like a lot of us are still feeling the backlash of, legacies built against and around us, but not inclusively. So I think also with what Madiba stood for, there's a lot of it where people aren't activists in their own community anymore. Like, you don't stand up for what is right because we're either too afraid or we don't understand radicalism enough, to also take up in the same vein as Madiba would. I mean, this is a man that sacrificed most of his life, by spending it in prison and then coming out to becoming a president. That's unheard of. And also for the kind of person, that he became a world icon. And not that everybody should be a world icon, but my thing is, change starts somewhere, and change is small.
I also agree with him, but then I just feel like having to gain independence after 94, things cannot change in this, how many?
Like that.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
We only have 22 years to
But what is our vision for the next 22, 24 years? Do you understand? That's what are we looking down towards the same goal, or are we just accepting and waiting for things to rectify itself, which has not been working, quite frankly?
A lot has been done, especially with education, because we know that Mandela was a person who is
Advocate for education.
yes, for education. So I'm really not sure where we are at the moment.
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel the same. Like, we don't know where we are right now, and that's where I'm thinking. Like, what is our vision as South Africans for the next 24 years of democracy? What is our common vision? And like, what are our challenges, and what do we need to do as individuals, communities, to actually foster that change going forward?
I do think there is something brewing on the landscape, especially in the township or marginalized communities, for the lack of a better term. Because in recent times, you've seen the emergence of the shutdown movement, where communities have gone to the streets and organized themselves and said, let's stop this bullshit about marching to Parliament, let's block the main roads, let's block the highways and influence the economy. But I think what happened after 94 is that South Africa went through a lull. Because if you really want to talk about democracy, what is democracy? Democracy is about active participation. It's about being an active citizen. And so I think as South Africans, we went through a lull where it's like, so now we got freedom, we got the opportunity to vote, but then that thing of, okay, we're electing you as a leader, and so you do your work for 5 years and we leave you alone for 5 years. That's the biggest mistake we've made. The biggest mistake we've made as South Africans is to think that we can go to the polling station, cast our vote, and come back in 5 years. That is the biggest mistake. And so when communities organize themselves and go to the streets, we shouldn't see it as what some people or the middle class would call as being disruptive. It's about being active. They're trying to make their voices heard.
We don't have much to do if we have problem with our presidency. The thing is, everything now, it's not like when Mandela was a president. Everything now is about money. So most of the time, we depend on them. We don't have works. We're not working, we are unemployed. You see, there are things we can't do. So all we need to do is to change everything that is happening in our country so that we'll be able, even if we voice out what we're feeling or what is happening, it won't go far most of the time because they know what they are doing and they have that thing that they can do whatever they like. They can change everything because everything now for them is about money.
I remember with Thabo Mbeki, things were pretty stable. Jay-Z, old Jay-Z, he came and shook up things a lot. And now we with Ramaphosa, and I just feel that there's just a continuation of more of the same, and we will only find out what that means for us down the line. But are we actively participating in this discussion, or are we just bystanders once again to feel the brunt of what's not happening once it actually happens?
To take you up on the point about communities, you can see that the communities are standing up, like they're saying they had enough. But the thing is, the government actually like saying these people have a problem and they don't do anything. They just basically leave it like you said. And also the point with money, it's a big problem because if you don't have money, they won't bother with you, or they just leave you in the state that you're currently in. So I don't know about this whole voting thing. We need to figure out some way to make them understand, but even though it's going to be difficult, we have to do something.
I just feel like we are not doing enough as individuals or as people to actually stand up and continue the legacy that was created. We're just waiting on our laurels for better days and some other savior. So there's only so many Madibas in history. And we can't expect another Madiba to come and save us once again, from where this country has gone down, So there's a lot of positives, but the thing is, it takes time, and if people are not standing together and fighting for the same causes, I don't know what the actual issues people have identified as causes now, but nobody's standing together on many.
My dream is that as Azanians, I don't think of myself as a South African, we start getting involved in each other's lives, and not only when it's tragic or it's violence, but genuinely get involved in each other's lives so we can build a collective society.
Yeah, my dream for the world and for South Africa in particular is like everybody treat everybody the same, and not just tolerance, but love each other.
My dream is for people to own the means of production, particularly for South Africa, that the people can take back to the land and take responsibility for their lives.
My dream for South Africa is that we become a unity, even though I don't think it's possible. I believe that we can be. And everybody takes responsibility for their own actions.
My dream for our generation is to support each other so that we can make a difference in our country.
My dream is to see every citizen participating in matters of development in our country.
Yazi, you should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong. You should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong.